What's going on, everybody? Jackson Fuller here, a high school sports reporter with the Star News, and this is the StarNewsVarsity weekly rundown. Every week I'm going to take you back through what happened in the week that was in high school sports, and we'll take a look forward at what's coming down the pipe in local area high school sports. Big week this week, football. We had a lot of really interesting results. Let's start there. West Brunswick 21-0 over Whiteville. That was the game that I went and covered Friday night down in Whiteville, my first ever trip to Whiteville, North Carolina, and man, I can't say enough how impressive the Trojans were, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think Whiteville only had about 65, 64 yards of total offense, and West Brunswick's defensive line just made life miserable for the Whiteville offensive line, for Whiteville quarterback Ty Moss and Whiteville running back Jamonte Davis. There was just no time. Guys like Javion McCray and Savion McCray were getting to the quarterback. But really, the thing that stuck out for me is West Brunswick has three really talented linebackers, and they're led by William McCraney and Bryson McCall. So those, and Carter Wyatt. Carter Wyatt's a good player too. So those three linebackers make this West Brunswick front seven just really tough to run on. And I'm not quite ready to say that they're legitimate contenders in the Mid-Eastern Conference. It's, with the way that Hoggard and New Hanover and their history of kind of running through things. But I'm keeping an eye on West Brunswick, and when they play Hoggard and New Hanover, they're going to be able to match New Hanover and Hoggard up front. There's no doubt about that. Do they have the ability to score enough points? Their two touchdowns in the first half, both were on long throws, and one of them was a trick play. They had to dial it up a little bit, and then in their third touchdown came on very short field position after a terrible Whiteville punt. But great performance from West Brunswick, and I know that Brett Hickman and his team feel really confident in the likes of Jay Fletcher and Trey Bell on offense to get to that 21 point mark consistently, because they don't think they're going to give up any more points than that throughout the season. Speaking of Hoggard, a tough first game at Scotland County. They went down there and lost 41-13. They fumbled the ball 8 times. Scotland only recovered 4 of those fumbles, but still, you got to get a sense that maybe some first game jitters, and a lot of the guys for Hoggard that are handling the ball this year are some young and inexperienced players. So, sounds like a game where the Hoggard just wasn't quite up to full speed yet. In Scotland County, in their second game of the week, a very good, talented team. I think they're ranked number 3 in the state, maybe by high school overtime. That's a tough game, and so I think Hoggard's going to get a lot better as the season rolls on. And I'd also like, J.H. Rose beat Laney 28-21, but the Bucks were down 28-0 in the second half, and they made a huge comeback and almost stole the win. Got to give a lot of credit to Ashad Yeoman. His team will always fight for him. And Laney 0-2, but after a 14-0 loss to Jacksonville, which was really tight, even though it was 14-0, to Northside Jacksonville, the Monarchs couldn't get anything going, and now 28-21 to J.H. Rose. Those are 2 legit teams that Laney has fought to the very end. So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how that team grows up as well throughout the rest of the year. Outside of football, I'd like to shout out just Coastal Christian sports in general. The volleyball team with 2 impressive wins over New Hanover and Hoggard this week, 2 sweeps. They're legit state championship contenders in the NCISAA. Dudley Ray doing a phenomenal job. Anna Dudley Wetherill is leading the offense, and she's a senior leader for them. So the Centurions are legit in volleyball this year, and in soccer they are as well. They beat New Hanover 3-0 this weekend. That was their first win over the Wildcats in school history. So. In program history. So Coastal Christian volleyball and soccer, 2 teams to really watch out for in our private schools ranks as teams that could win a state championship. Grace Holcomb, Laney girls golf. We expected her to kind of maybe take the reins this year as the best golfer in the MEC. Finished second last week in her first match. Won the 9-hole match in the MEC this week at Compass Point with a 37. I expect Grace to kind of keep rolling and either finishing 1 or 2 throughout the year. And then finally, New Hanover tennis. We knew that Wildcats were going to be good, and we knew Hoggard was going to be good too, but New Hanover made a statement in an 8-1 victory over Hoggard on Thursday night. Peyton Philemon, a freshman playing at number 1, looks incredible. She won her singles match 6-1, 6-0, and that just moves players like Mary Davis Thomas, who was the MAC player of the year last year, down to number 2. Francis Coleman's down to number 3, and those are 2 legit tennis players not playing at number 1. So New Hanover's got serious depth. They got a really quality team. Peyton Philemon might be one of the best players across the entire state just as a freshman. The Wildcats have to like their chances this year at a deep playoff run and making some noise in both the singles and doubles tournaments. Next week, I don't really want to talk too much about what we have coming down next week. I think it'd be inappropriate in light of what, might be coming up from the south with Hurricane Dorian. But I will say, if we are fortunate enough to get some sports in, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is actually Hoggard volleyball. The Screaming Eagles are undefeated. Hoggard's off to a really slow start, but those two teams are always the class of the MEC in volleyball, and they always produce really epic, fun matches to be a part of. So, crossing my fingers that we get lucky with this storm. It keeps going out into the Atlantic, and I'm able to kind of catch that match on Thursday. If not, and the storm comes for us, I want everybody to, please be safe, be following along at StarNewsOnline.com with all of our coverage, and just be safe and make smart decisions, because right now this storm looks like it's a pretty serious headache for us. And I know last year we all went through this, and it was a tough experience. Thoughts and prayers for everybody in the region as we go through this storm if it comes. But as always, StarNewsOnline.com/sports, StarNewsVarsity.com, Facebook.com/StarNewsVarsity, and Twitter @StarNewsVarsity. Follow along for all of our high school sports coverage this year, because whether the hurricane comes or not, we're going to have some high school sports at the end of the day, and it's going to be a really exciting fall season. As I kind of mentioned here, we got some serious state championship contenders in the area. So thank you guys for watching very much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.